everyone, Dr. Carla here. Today I am very excited and honored to have Dr. Rene. He is a doctor of Chinese medicine. He is a master herbalist in Chinese herbs and also a doctor of acupuncture.
That is correct.
So welcome, Rene,
Thank
to
you.
my home. I'm so happy to have you here. You have just so much to offer us and those watching that I just can't wait to have this conversation. But let me just first tell you how I met Dr. Rene. So one day I was just kind of sitting thinking, you know, I think I'm going to go back to yoga. And then I just had this thought that, no, I want to do qigong. And I thought, where did that come from? And so I remembered back when I was in high school and college, my sport was Taekwondo. And so I've always been, you know, interested in the martial arts. But for some reason, I heard go to qigong. So I thought, okay, so I looked up online and I thought, well, where am I going to find a qigong teacher and a class in Sarasota, Florida? So, because there's really not a lot. There's not, which I've come to found. But there happened to be a class that night, and Dr. Rene was teaching that class. And so I immediately fell in love with it. I knew exactly why I was supposed to take that class and meet Dr. Rene that night. And so from that class, I've gotten to know you. I'm now one of your patients. And so, I mean, I'm just so happy that we were able to meet. And I know everyone would love to hear a little bit about your background because, I mean, you have so much knowledge, so much education, because this began very young age for you.
That is correct. Yeah, I was originally born in Macau, China, and I was raised there. I started getting involved in Chinese medicine around the age of 8 years old. You know, my mother started having me do this, do that with patients and things, but we were mainly doing trauma, you know, helping people with trauma and stuff. So at a very young age, especially in my culture, you basically do as you're told. You know, there's no why. It's just say, do, yes ma'am. Okay, so as a young kid, you know, I knew a lot of how-tos, not a lot of whys, but that's okay. But that's what built my passion. So a long career later in technology, not in Chinese medicine, in technology.
Wow.
The reason for that is because my Chinese medicine back in the 60s and 70s in Macau was still folk medicine. So there wasn't really a good income stream there. So when my parents found out that I wanted to do Chinese medicine, they said absolutely not. so I got re-steered in the direction of technology. So I spent 30 years in technology, but during that time, even though I was away from Chinese medicine, my passion actually grew because as I got older, the how-tos that stuck in my mind started becoming whys. And why did they work? So my curiosity and my interest started peaking. I started looking at stuff. My friends started having me to help them. And then as I started helping them, my interest in Chinese medicine actually grew. So after the dot-com bubble burst, I actually co-owned several companies in California in computers. After the dot-com burst, I saw the opportunity to go into Chinese medicine. I've been doing that full-time for over a decade. And so treating a lot of people, a big amount of my work is with cancer patients, autoimmune, and with trauma.
Right, because you've worked a lot in San Diego as
Correct.
well. I think you were telling me specifically with oncology.
Yes.
And
correct.
So that's what I love because my degree is in integrative medicine, and to be able to see the benefits and the positive outcomes that come when the medical community works with the integrative medicines, the East meets West, you know, that type of medicine. And so you get better results.
Oh, you go phenomenal results. In fact, when I actually moved back to San Diego in 2008, and I was there for 3 years. And during that time, one of my Kung Fu students back in San Diego was actually an oncologist. So he was a partner in one of the San Diego's largest cancer centers. So he invited me to join him to start up an integrative practice in his oncology clinic. So I built a Chinese medicine practice, and we combined West and Eastern together. So patients that were diagnosed with cancer, they had an opportunity to go West and or East, okay? And you could really see the results because if you go to the waiting room area and you see all the people waiting there, you could very easily see who were going through integrative and who were not.
Wow.
The ones who were not, they'd be out there, they'd be like, but those who are going through that, they'd be there, reading newspaper, chatting and talking.
Right.
So, I mean, that was a big testimony of the power of the two. And a lot of times, one of the things that we discern when we work together, patient comes in, they say, well, I don't want to have a chemotherapy. I just want to have a natural medicine. The first thing we take a look at is, well, how aggressive is the cancer? Because natural medicine works very well, very strong, but takes time.
Right.
Some patients don't have time.
Right.
Like pancreatic cancer, you may only have 2 months or so, okay?
Right.
So then you have to talk to the patients. What is your situation? What are the oncologists talking about? Is this really a smart move, or should you do some form of chemo or radiation just to slow down the cancer while you bring in the natural side and then use that to take over and then combine that with nutrition, which is number one.
Number one.
Correct.
Yes, definitely. So, you've said this to me several times, and we know this even from a quantum biology perspective, is we heal ourselves.
Absolutely.
Our bodies were designed by an amazing, incredible God to know exactly what to do.
Oh, absolutely.
And even to alert us when things are not quite right, and we learn to listen to that. So how would you say, like from a Chinese medicine perspective, how does our body know how to do that? Like, there's meridians and energy and all, so many different things to talk about, but kind of in a simple way with Chinese medicine, or the philosophy of that, how is our body healing itself? Well,
it's actually a very simple answer. The body itself is a very, very amazing machine. Just to illustrate, even without going to Chinese medicine, I'm going to ask you a simple question.
Yeah.
In your life or in any of your friends' lives, okay, how many friends have you encountered that spend even one day looking in the mirror and say, hey, my left eyelashes, you're growing shorter, you're growing slower than your right eyelashes. Step it up, right?
Yeah.
Or how many female friends do you have that and when they're around 14, 15, going through puberty, they look at their chest and like, oh, left side, you forgot to grow, you just go to the right side, right? Well, that's your body, it's natural. Right. So what Chinese medicine really believes is that the body has a natural ability to grow and to heal. But what happens is, over time, for whatever reason, that healing ability is somehow stifled. So what Chinese medicine does is it tries to go in and help the person take a look from the environment, from the body, from the nutrition, from stress, from the temperature, from the heredity, everything. What is inside there that's causing that healing mechanism to slow down or go out of function? Once you see that, you fix that, the healing power comes right back, and then the healing power takes over. So as you mentioned, meridians and stuff, Chinese medicine believes that the body is built up of the organ systems. And just like in Western medicine, in biology, you have the veins and stuff. Well, Eastern medicine also has the veins and the blood vessels. We also have energetic pathways because we are, after all, creatures of energy. Right. Okay. If you don't believe that, very easy. You go to someplace where it's cold, freezing, it's dry, you put your hand on metal, you get shocked. Yeah. Right? If we're not creatures of energy, we won't get shocked. Exactly. So we are more affected by energy than we are by chemical stuff. Okay? So all these meridians, pathways go around the body, and over 4,000 years, the Chinese medical system has shown patterns that say if you have certain types of issues, this is because of energetic blockage, organ dysfunction, whatever, and using certain points, you can manipulate the energy that goes through these areas. You can help to re-jumpstart the organs. You can manipulate the brain waves. You can manipulate a response from the neural networks inside your mind, and that response goes in and helps the body to heal. Okay, and that's a combination of acupuncture, with cupping, with moxibustion, and Chinese herbs is huge because Chinese herbs really goes in and strengthens the organs. So that whole combined together addresses the 3 areas that is essential in good health. What are they? Mind, body, spirit. You cannot isolate these 3. These 3 have to work together. If one doesn't function well, second one's going to affect it. Eventually, all three will be affected. So all the stuff that you do in Chinese medicine combines these three and have to address these three at the same time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, those three things, that's how we could stay healthy if we pay attention to those. But specifically, what can we do? Maybe just a couple examples for our body, for our mind, for our spirit, like on a daily basis. Walk us through, how would that look?
Sure, very simple. Let's pick on one thing in the United States you hear a lot about, okay? Starts with the character S, called stress.
Stress.
Okay, so we hear all the time, stress causes ill health, stress causes chronic diseases, stress causes cancer, stress breaks your body down. But why? Okay, so in Chinese medicine, there is one organ called the liver, which is a huge organ, okay? The liver is very affected by stress. In Chinese medicine, we found over the thousands of years that every organ system in the body is affected by certain emotions. The lungs with grief, that's why if you go to a funeral, you see people walking like this, you don't see people walking like that. That's because when you are grieving, the lungs get weak and a person gets into this posture. The liver is affected by anger and depression and stress. Now, on the Western side, we understand the functions of the liver. One of the most primary function is what? Detox, right? The liver gets rid of the toxicity in the body. So you can imagine if the person has a lot of stress, liver gets a little out of whack, several things happen. If the liver gets agitated, too much heart energy goes in, person becomes irritable. If the liver gets, weakened because too much work making crazy, the person goes into depressed mode. So the person starts showing emotional imbalance. But the most important thing is the liver, because it controls the circulation and the toxicity, the detox in the body, when the liver starts going out of balance, the toxins in the body starts building up because the liver's ability to start filter them out starts going down. So how do you help the liver? Well, first, before you help the liver, you have to find things that hurt the liver. For example, alcohol. So people who are more vulnerable to liver situation, more stress and stuff, they need to avoid alcohol because alcohol now makes the liver worse. Okay, a lot of fatty foods, the liver is responsible for addressing the fatty foods. They also make the liver worse. So you also want to stay away from them. Okay. Liver makes the circulation stagnated. So you go and start doing exercises, physical exercises, creative exercises like dancing, qigong exercises, yoga, okay? All of them, number one, to get the energy moving, smooth it out, and also help the liver to calm down. One of the signs you will see when the liver is not going well is a person having a lot of sighing and a lot of burping. That's because when the liver is off, the movement of the blood becomes choppy, not smooth, and then they create little pockets of gas. When they get enough together, you create big pockets of air, and then you can get distension, and then you start having burping. The person sighing is the body trying to smooth that out. So when you start seeing that, you start knowing that your liver function starts going down. So to answer your question in a long way is that you have to recognize the signs that your body is telling you. In my example, you start burping a lot, sighing a lot, you know your liver is off, okay? Other signs will appear. Then what you do is some of the things I mentioned, between nutrition and the right types of exercises, you can help calm the liver down. And of course, there are other things like chrysanthemum tea and other types of foods that can help pacify the liver also.
So it really is all connected.
It's all connected. You cannot treat the body without treating the mind. You cannot treat the mind without treating the spirit. They all work together.
Right. So true. So we're gonna go and talk a little bit about the qigong and some different ways we can do that. But first, before we go outside, I wanted to ask you because you mentioned that you were born and raised in China, and then lived most of your life there, and then moved here, raised a family here, in our environment, working. There's a big difference. So, and can you, from your perspective, share that difference and then how you can see that correlation in the so many chronic illnesses that Americans have?
Absolutely. The biggest thing I can say is, like coming from Hong Kong, okay, I'll share a study that just recently came out, okay, for those of you that have been to Hong Kong is a known mecca industry for shopping, for eating. But what people don't know is Hong Kong is extremely crowded. You have 7 million plus people and about 420 square miles of space. So people don't live like that, people live like that, meaning the buildings, okay, the buildings go up. So in Hong Kong, it's very densely populated, there's a lot of smog, okay. Food in Hong Kong, we eat a lot of gluten, there's a lot of noodles and dumplings, okay, there's a lot of soy, a lot of wheat and everything. We used to eat luncheon meat. I used to eat luncheon meat 4 out of 7 days. That's our breakfast. And people were there 7 days out of 7, okay? So diet based on American standards is not good,
Right,
okay?
that's what, all the things we're told, don't eat that.
Exactly.
Don't, you know?
So the other thing is like the air is very smoggy, okay? People in Hong Kong do not vaccinate. We do not have vaccinations. We don't use Western medicine unless it's for emergency, okay? But Hong Kong people are very in tune to their body. Now, significance of that is a recent study came out showing that Hong Kong, okay, for the second year in a row, has been rated #1 in longevity worldwide.
That's just crazy.
What's that telling you?
That
It makes absolutely no sense, right?
Yeah, right.
Right? The environment is so darn dirty, polluted, dense, stress, you name it. But why? This is exactly what you're trying to get out of my thoughts is, in Hong Kong, when you live in Hong Kong, unless you leave Hong Kong, you have no choice. You live in an environment that's dirty, food that's bad by American standards. So people can't control the environment. What do? They learn how to get themselves healthy, okay? How they don't look at environment, they don't look at products, they don't look at research that says, okay, the body needs this, the product has this, that's why you have to eat this. Well, we say, well, but what kind of people should be eating that? Don't you take into account the person's constitution, what they live, etc., right?
Yeah.
So people in Hong Kong know how to listen to their body, how to keep themselves healthy. So their focus is like a mirror, constantly looking at the mirror, using what? Using food, okay? Using herbs, preventative. What I find in the United States, preventative is not a vocabulary that exists.
Yes.
It is reactive.
Right.
I'll give you an example, even the misinterpretation of preventative. A lot of oncologists will say they're going to go get mammogram, okay? After the breast cancer gone, or even for women, they say, okay, you want to come in and do mammograms often 6 months because you want to catch that blip. We want to be preventative. You catch that blip, you know, we got to stop that. Well, that's not preventative. That's early detection.
Right.
Preventative is you get all your foods, all your exercises, all your stuff, get that going so that blip doesn't exist.
Right.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
Over there, everyone understands preventative. Here, they don't really understand.
Right.
Food nutrition is #1, okay? So having a daughter born in the United States, okay, my challenge is trying to help her understand how to listen to the body, how to not look at food as just what kind of calories, but really understand energetically. And I have to give you an example of what that's like. Where are you from? Do you ever live in the snow country?
I did, yes. I'm actually from Canada.
So perfect.
Yes.
So here's a great example. You're in Canada, okay? One day it's a snowing blizzard outside, okay? And you need to go downtown for whatever reason, okay? You need to get in your car. And your windshield is totally iced. You need to go de-ice, right?
Right.
So you go out de-ice, you put on your coat, go out de-ice, you come back and you're freezing. What do?
Hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate, right?
Yeah.
Do you?
Hot
Exactly.
chocolate. Yeah.
Why hot chocolate? Because it keeps you warm, right?
Yeah.
At any point in time there, do you think about how many calories is in hot chocolate?
No, put
No, right?
marshmallows and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because your interest is right now in
Yeah.
your body. Saying, I am freezing. I need warmth.
Yes.
That's your body telling you,
Ah,
right?
okay,
At that
yes.
point, you don't say, oh, I can't have hot chocolate because it has so many calories. I can't. You say, no, I need warmth, right?
Yes,
You tell your husband, I need warmth and I need now, right? So that is natural food. That is natural medicine. That's your body telling you.
Right.
So one of my biggest challenges with my daughter is trying to help her understand all these signs and symptoms that your body is trying to tell you and how you react. And that is not existent, hardly in existence here in the United States. Very little, if any at all.
I would argue to say it's because we don't take time to sit still and be able to even notice if something was off or what we even really need.
Yep.
Because we're just busy going here and
Absolutely.
there and listening to, oh, this, advertisement says this and
Absolutely.
this one says that and my doctor tells me this and someone else says that and so then your mind is just bombarded with so many things that you do nothing.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
One of the funniest questions I get a lot in the clinic and also in my talks, and I find this hilarious because people ask me, I want to eat healthy. What can I eat that's healthy for me? You know what I tell them? There's no food called healthy. I always tell them, do not eat healthy foods. And they're like, what is like? I said, because there's no such thing called healthy food. A piece of food is healthy or unhealthy only when you associate it with the person that's eating it. For one person, it may be healthy. To another person, it may be unhealthy.
Right.
So there is no one food that is generalized. Here you see a lot of things, products or whatever, that is typically indicated as, okay, this is good for that, so that everyone starts going to that.
Right.
But if the person has diabetes versus cancer or polio, or is a Tom Brady doing NFL, you can't say that it's the same for all of them.
Right. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
Right, so nutrition is a key. And I think
Nutrition.
that's really lacking. That's the biggest challenge in the United States, especially with my patients, is how to help them understand what constitutes healthy nutrition. And healthy nutrition is not necessarily based on calories or the 5 food groups or amount of water, but what your body needs and energetically.
Yes, energetically, because you and I both agree on this, that at the end of the day, whatever you're eating, whether it's a chocolate ice cream or it's a bowl of carrots, at the end, it's electrons and protons. It's energy. It's frequency.
Absolutely.
And it's even how you are eating that food. So if you're rushing eating the food, that's a totally different. You could have a beautiful, wonderful salad, but if you're like hurrying, trying to eat it, it's not going to have the same energetic effect on your body. So, I mean, that talking about energy and frequency brings me back to Qigong in that that is really a way that we can, I don't want to say the word manipulate, but use energy for our benefit.
Absolutely. And talk about Qigong. First of all, let's talk about what Qigong is.
Yeah.
Okay. Qigong, the two words, Qi Gong, in Cantonese, is called Hei Gong. Okay. Qi actually is just a character for air. Gong is a skill that is developed over a lot of hard work, such as Kung Fu. Okay. So Qigong actually means the art of breathing.
Which so many of us don't do.
Exactly.
We hold our breath. And
exactly.
We're just like,
So if you think about it, it's like even in modern day in the cancer research and stuff, you read everywhere. You have the ozone therapy, hyperbaric chambers, and they always say oxygen is the #1 enemy of cancer cells.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you think about Qigong, we breathe. If we don't breathe, we're dead.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
If we want to know how we don't breathe, which we're supposed to breathe, look at a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
They'll walk right to the side, take the flower, go. How many do we? How often do we? When was the last time you did? When was the last time I did? I know I haven't done it in a while. So what Qigong does is Qigong is actually telling you, dude, do that, chill, breathe. Okay. So if I tell my patients that every day you don't do anything different, but just sit outside where there's a lot of oxygen, trees, you just sit there for 15 minutes and just go and go.
So speaking about that, let's go outside. I think I should show you my favorite place that I love to go and do just that. It's just a small little area, but we'll be right back. So stay tuned because we're going outside and we're going to learn a little bit more about Qigong and whatever other fun tips you have for us. So, all right, let's go outside. All right, well, welcome back, everyone. We are now outside in my backyard, in my home, and again, in my favorite space. So, Dr. Rene, we were talking inside about the importance of Qi. You were explaining to us that it's really the art of breathing and how important that is, but also that there's not just breathing, but there's certain movements
Yes.
that we can do to enhance the movement of that qi. So
Correct.
I would love for you to share just a little bit more about what we could do, maybe just a few simple moves. But again, let's dive a little deeper into how important the breath is.
Yes, it's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Inside the body, okay, here's the belly button,
Mm-hmm.
and about 1 inch to 2 inch below the belly button, picture there's a reservoir here.
Okay.
This reservoir is called the dantian.
Okay.
Dantian, the reservoir, this is where you store your qi. This kind of
Mm.
your body's gas tank.
Okay.
Okay. So when you're doing meditation and stuff, you see a lot of people when they do meditation, they sit down and their hands are holding it here
Right.
because that's storing all the qi when they go down here.
Mm.
So that's the first thing is when we focus, we have to focus on the qi coming down to this place.
Okay.
Okay. Second thing we want to focus is where are you getting your energy from and where the fresh air is coming from. In China, qigong is rarely ever practiced indoors.
Oh,
It's almost always
okay.
practiced outdoors and in the lots of trees, forest area.
So this is a
because
good place.
This is absolutely
perfect.
perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Now, the other thing that's also important is the direction of the sun,
Oh,
because we
okay.
believe that the sun is a master transmitter of qi.
Yes.
So we want to absorb the sun.
Mhm.
So now we have one very important point in our body
Mhm.
right at the top of our head.
Okay.
Okay, this one is called Ba Hui. This one connects the human being with the universal energy.
Mhm.
So we have 3 optimum times to practice qigong.
Mm.
One, in the morning at sunrise, we face east.
This
Right now
way.
we're facing west, so we face
Okay.
east. Why? Because east, the sun comes up. So when the
Okay.
sun comes up, we practice qigong optimum time around 6 at sunrise.
Mhm.
So it's like the sun comes up, and you're like, take me, I want all of you, gimme, gimme, gimme,
Yes.
gimme. So you practice facing the sun.
Right.
At lunchtime around noon, where's the sun? Directly above. So at that time, you can face any direction because at that point, Ba Hui is now connecting to the sun. This is now connected to the sun and getting all the energy down.
Mm.
Right now, evening, sunset time, we face west like we are right now.
Mhm.
So as the sun starts going down, right at the end, that green flash stuff, that's when the sun's sending us last burst of energy.
Mm.
You want to face that and you say, gimme, 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 it's
Lots
all
of
mine,
energy.
okay? So that's where we get that energy coming
and
towards
it's
us.
right here, right
Correct.
now.
So there's
Okay.
the energy,
Mhm.
and then you have all the green, which is the oxygen.
Yeah.
That's how we will practice.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
so that's the environment side.
Okay.
So we're gonna do a few simple ones, okay?
Okay.
I'll share some of the stuff that is done a lot in China that anyone can do from 10-year-old to 100-year-old, and you
Okay,
see that a
great.
lot, okay?
Mhm.
First thing we would do is just literally just standing there, putting your hands here, okay, and just breathing.
Now, does it matter how we hold our hands?
Yes,
Or-
it does
okay.
matter if you really like want a maximum benefit.
Mhm.
The 2 hands, okay, one on top of each other.
Okay.
For the males,
Yes.
the left hand is right on the dantian, right hand on the outside.
Okay.
Females, the right is
Other
on the
way.
dantian
Okay.
and the left on the outside.
Got it.
And then what we do is we expand the dantian like we have that ball there.
Mhm.
And then when we breathe in through the nose and just let the air go in and fill that up. And just very slowly, just breathe in slow, breathe out slow. Don't think, just leave your mind blank and just be one with nature. Nature has the best balanced energy. So if you really want your body's turbulent energy to be in one with nature, you let yourself go. You let nature wrap its arms around you. So you just put your hands there and just breathe nice and slow.
And there's just so many different animals to birds and
Exactly.
frogs, and everything just has their own
Correct.
vibration.
Yes, even when the leaves fall down, when you really are one with nature, sometimes you can even hear the leaves. You can hear the wind. That's when you really surrender yourself to nature and then let nature balance you, bring you to homeostasis. So this is the foundational one that you can just do. If you don't know any qigong techniques, that's okay. Just stand here, just face the sun, and just say, man, it's good to be alive.
Yeah.
And just breathe and just soak it in. Now, also in China, you will see in the park two things that they add on to this. As people get older, their joints start getting drier, their muscles start getting weaker. So very common what they would do is they would also get qi and blood through their limbs.
Okay.
So what they would do is they would still breathe, but they would breathe swinging their hands.
Ah.
Just like this. I don't even need a lot of space.
Yeah.
I'm still breathing like that. I'm still enjoying the sun. I'm just swinging my arms, swinging my legs. So if you go into YouTube or Google and you start looking at a lot of qigong exercises in China, you see a lot of people do this.
Right.
They do this, and they also do just like this.
Yes,
Just the hip
I've
swinging.
seen this.
Just the hip swinging.
Yeah.
Just
And
the hip swinging.
don't kids do that
Kids
all
do
the
that
time?
all the time.
We think that they're just sitting there, you know,
Exactly.
acting up, but they know instinctively.
Yep.
Just to
And then if
swing
people have
back and
shoulder
forth.
problems,
Yeah.
they start adding them more.
Okay.
If they have problems lifting shoulder, if they have problems stretching shoulder, just keep doing. Just basically the thought is bring the oxygen in, get the blood going, and use the blood to oil, lubricate the joints that are stiff. If you're having problems doing this way, you breathe the oxygen in, get the blood going, and move. And you're stretching it. If you have problems lifting your shoulder, do this.
Yeah.
Okay? If you have problems going down, breathe in.
Breathe in.
Just like that. So the goal is breathe, invigorate blood,
Right.
lubricate the joints.
Yes.
So
And
those,
it's so simple. I mean,
Very
anybody
simple.
could do this at
Anybody can
any
do it.
age.
yes.
Mm,
And then I'm
love
going to show one more. And
Okay.
this one is really good for people who have a lot of stress. So with
All of
stress, was right.
95% of Americans.
Exactly. So stress creates heat in the body.
Okay.
The energy becomes hot energy.
Right.
Heat rises. So that stress energy goes up, goes towards the top of the head. That's why people that have a lot of stress, they're very pressured, they start getting pounding headaches. The eyes start bulging out, there's pressure behind the eyes. They want to rip the head apart because there's so much strain there. So there's a form of qigong exercise. What we do is we take that energy and we bring it back down.
Ah, okay.
Okay? So I'm going to explain and then we'll do, okay?
Okay.
So what we do is we put the legs apart, okay? And then we would breathe in and then we breathe out. As we breathe out, we sink the body down, see? We breathe in and breathe out. And now my eyes follow the fingers. See, breathe in and then breathe out. Every time we breathe out, we are pushing, we are draining our hot air away from the head, going down, and it's going down through a second set of points, which is at the bottom of the foot, called Yongqun. This is in acupuncture called kidney 1.
Okay.
This is connected to the earth.
Right.
So when you breathe in and you push down, that bad energy goes right through all the meridians down to kidney 1 straight to the earth. So when you breathe in,
Okay.
guess what you're doing? You're now draining the good air,
Good air
from the
from
earth
the
in.
grass.
You breathe out, go down, and now you're bringing the bad air down to the earth. See, breathe in. And when you're doing this, same thing, your stomach is out, the dantian is out. And then when you're pushing the hand down, you can actually feel you bringing the energy from the head here and bringing it down. And the reason why your eyes are looking at the fingers is when your eyes look at the fingers, you are consciously taking the energy and moving it down with your fingers.
Exactly. So does it matter if we wear shoes or should we be bare feet in the grass? Does that matter?
Ideally, it would be barefoot because then you will be connected, okay? But you want to practice this outside in the nature area because that Yongqun connects you with the ground.
Right.
Nature is usually cleaner.
Ah, okay.
When you're in an internal environment, you never know who stepped over there. In nature, nature has a way of detoxing itself.
Right.
So when you put your feet there, you're actually absorbing from nature. When you're in the tile area, not as much.
Right. It reminds me of something funny I share with my friends because it's a quantum joke. But if I stand too close to someone that has negative energy, I'm like, I don't want your
You can
electrons
feel it,
on
yeah.
me.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, like, you're a integrated medicine doctor. So you can imagine if you're working inside a cancer center,
Right.
okay, and you have patients coming in, okay. These patients, okay, let's say half of them do chemo, half of them don't. Okay, let's talk about the ones that do. Okay, they go through chemo, they come in. Guess what? They have radiation going through their body. They have a lot of drug-infused energy. Shake their hands. Guess what? Contact. You got that. Patient who's going through chemo, or for that matter, a lot of medication, etc., sleeping with their partner. Okay, guess what happens to the partner? They absorb it. Right? I have patients that are Agent Orange patients. Well, guess what? Going back to the 60s, lots of radiation. Guess what happened to the partner? They start having that. So that's why being able to clean the energy like something like that is important, especially for folks like yourself and myself, because we are seeing so many different patients.
Yes.
Unknowingly, we absorb their energy. And the second thing also is negative always sucks positive dry. So when the patients come in, you're going to be positive to them.
Yes.
They're going to suck you dry. So you need to be able to replenish, not just detox, but detox and replenish.
People too, you know, the people that you're surrounded by, if you're in a negative environment or, you know, your job situation super stressful, and you're picking that up too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's why something simple like that, or even like just doing nothing like we did and stuff like that, all you're doing is you're rebuilding the gas tank. That's all your good energy. You rebuild that, you can keep yourself nice and healthy. And you have toxic people, you know, you can't avoid them unless you live in a bubble, right?
Yeah.
But because you have this good gas tank, you have reserves.
We have reserves.
You have reserves.
Yes.
So
that's awesome.
That's key.
All right. So, well, thank you for that. I know that was very helpful for me, and I hope it was for you too. Would there be that was a great tip, but is there any one last tip or maybe suggestion that you would have just in general of how we can really live our best lives?
I talked about mind, body, spirit. Okay. The most important thing for us is to be able to accept and to be grateful for all that we have. Okay. If we hold a grudge against something, okay, that is going to come back to haunt us, if not right away, but ongoing. That grudge gets the energy interrupted, stagnated, and eventually becomes disease and illness. So the best thing we can do is live life as full as you can. Okay, try not to take things personally. Okay, have outlets. Whether if you're religious, there's a religious sector. If you're not religious, nature, go nature. Doesn't matter. The fact is, you have to be grateful and to be forgiving. That is the number one thing that can cause bad health, and the number one thing that can cause good health. Good health.
Grateful and forgiving.
Exactly.
I love it. Yes. So great. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
It was so good.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you.
We'll see you again next time at Dr. Carla.